So now we're going to talk about making some slightly more advanced adjustments. And in order to talk about that, let's go to this event, which is actually a bunch of DMI people. Um, let's click on this. What is that? That's Old School Review from this past year, which is one of the DMI bands. And then we're going to click on Edit down here. And we're going up to the top to adjust, and you'll see that that's already been clicked. We already did effects. We're going to do adjust. This little graph at the top is known as a histogram, and basically it tells you the intensity of light in various places on the film, or in the picture rather. And the book says that you should understand this, and quite frankly I don't understand it and wouldn't know how to explain it to you. And I've never used one, and I've been taking pictures for the better part of 50 years or so. But a couple of things that I do understand are exposure. Exposure is defined as the total amount of light that falls on the film or the image sensor. Film, of course, being what we used to use, and image sensor is what we use now in digital cameras. Exposure is the amount of light, and although you can't actually change the amount of light after the picture has been taken, you can certainly change the effect. Now watch as I move this to the right and move it up. You can see that more and more light enters the image, and I could do it and turn it to the left as well. Now you see that the histogram changes up there too. Now what that means, I don't know. Contrast is the difference between the lightest tones and the darkest tones. Now you'll see as we move it to the right that the lighter tones will get lighter and the darker tones will get darker. And then as we move it back the other way, the reverse happens. They kind of soften a little bit, and the contrast between the two is not so dramatic. Saturation is the intensity or the richness of the color, which means the more I move it to the right, and the more color is going to be in the picture. Now let's try that. Let's just move it to the right a little bit, and you'll see that the color changes a little bit. There's not a whole lot of color in this particular picture. Now it says avoid saturating skin tones, and what that was doing was changing the colors without changing the colors of the skin on the people in the picture. Now if we click that, now you'll see that it'll change more dramatically. The skin tones will change as well as the background tones. And then we get into some even more minute adjustments. A definition is the clarity and quantity of the detail in an image. This is already pretty high def, and I don't think that this will make any real difference. No, as you can tell, it does not. Highlights are the brighter parts of the image. Now, as I increase this one, the brighter parts, and only the brighter parts, are going to get darker. The darker parts of the picture will remain the same. And shadows is the exact reverse. Shadows are the dark part of the picture, and as I move this, you will see that the darker parts will get lighter, while the lighter parts remain the same. Sharpness basically refers to the reproduction of details, and you know the difference between a sharp picture and a not so sharp picture. A not so sharp picture looks a little fuzzy. Sharpness, of course, is very much in focus. This one, changing the sharpness, changes it just a little bit. As you can tell, we'll move it back. That's what sharpness does. Noise in a picture is random video specks or dots that might appear, and I don't believe there are any in this particular picture. I don't see anything. We're gonna do that anyway, and it as I said, there was nothing for it to get rid of. Color temperature is something that I don't really understand particularly well. I know that when I'm playing with my TV set at home and I try to see what cooler color temperature looks like, it kind of turns blue, and you can tell that's exactly what happens when you move this to the cool zone. And the warm zone kind of turns a little orangey, brighter, rosier kind of a color. And that's pretty much what happens there as well. Tint adjusts the red and green in the picture. And you may or may not be able to tell the difference. This little eyedropper right here controls the white balance. And what that does is you click this little dot. Sometimes a digital camera does not recognize white like the human eye recognizes white, and you have to tell it exactly what white is. And you've seen people, before they shoot a picture or before they start a video, go hold up a white card or a white sheet of paper and adjust the camera. This is so the camera knows what white is, and if it knows what white is, then it can help with the other shades and colors as well. So if we were to click this and click on something that we know is white, and I suspect that guitar pick guard right there is white. Let's see if that makes any difference at all. And it did. It made a little bit, and as you can tell, we can undo that and show you the difference that it made. It kind of changed the tint just slightly. It brightened it up just a little bit so that all the colors are more what the colors are supposed to be, although quite frankly, I couldn't tell that they weren't what they were supposed to be. But that's white balance, and it can make a great big difference in what you do.